EDC back again with another knife video. So this is the Benchmade Bailout, and this is a knife that was actually on my top 10 list for 2020, and I never got around to the review, but I actually need to do the review now. I will say the prices are much higher now than they were, but also everyone else's prices seem to be higher, so there's sort of a little bit give and take on that. That being said, the secondary market is still robust for getting this knife at a good deal. So while I'm a DLT affiliate and I would love for you to buy from a dealer, Benchmades are generally available in the secondary market at a decent markdown. So if you know where to look, check that out. If you don't know where to look, you can go ahead and leave a comment below. I'll be happy to send you on your way. As far as just buying new, which some people do, price on this is going to be $234. These were $212 last year. I think they were a little bit cheaper, maybe even in the $190 range the year before. So prices have gone up significantly, but that is not only true for this. I mean, obviously this Spidey Chef, for example, was like way cheaper 2 years ago than it is now. I think it was $180 or something 2 years ago. Now it's like $250 or $270 or something. So yeah, the prices are going up. In any event, let's go ahead and talk about the good and the bad of this knife, but let's do some size comparisons first. First, we're going to go have the Para 3 here and the Para Military 2. And we're going to have the Hogue K320 and the Spidey Chef. And ZT0920, and probably the most important size comparison is the Bugout. So let's go ahead and talk about the good and the bad of this knife. So first of all, and we'll do a comparison to the Bugout at the end. So first of all, one of the great things about this one is, I had the original Bailout and I did not like it. The Grivery scales felt cheaper on the Bailout than they did on the original Bugout. I don't know why. They're the same damn scales in a different shape, but they just did. And it may have had to do something with the size and the shape of the knife, but it is what it is. But these are Benchmade's aluminum scales. They're the same aluminum they use on the Benchmade 940 and other classics like that. They have a slightly different anodization here on them, and this OD green that they use on here is beautiful. Absolutely love it. I love the diamond texturing on here. It really gives the knife a premium feel, and it makes the aluminum feel like, hey, it's aluminum, but it's a $200 knife, and it actually is a $200 knife. So that is quite nice. Next up is the steel on here is M4. I absolutely love the switch from 3V to M4. 3V is actually really nice as a knife steel, but I prefer M4 on folders. 3V is better for fixed blades because of the increased toughness compared to M4, but also slightly less in the edge holding. M4 holds an edge better, so I do prefer the M4, and the M4 is quite nice on Benchmade does a great job with their M4 in general, so happy to see it on this particular knife. Especially I really like on a thin knife to have that have that steel that's going to be tough like a 3V, but also be really hold an edge for a very, very long time like M4 does. So the choice of the steel is great, and I love the fact that they run this at a reasonable Rockwell hardness instead of the lower Rockwell hardness they originally ran the 3V at on the original Bailout. I don't know if they're still running the cheaper Bailout at that, and there is a cheaper Bailout that is available still with the Grivery scales. I believe they're still producing that, and that one I believe still runs on 3V if I remember correctly. But I would, if you're going to buy a Bailout, I would say spring the extra cash for the M4, or don't buy it all, the M4 aluminum, because it really is worth it. It feels like a completely different knife. It's like the aluminum Bugout. When you get that in hand, you'll realize, hey, this is a premium knife, and the aluminum Bugout feels like a premium knife. The regular Bugout doesn't necessarily feel that way. So next up is the action on this. Obviously, Axis style knife. Those have been around for years, but the Axis lock on here is just as good as any of their other Axis locks, and it really feels good again with that aluminum. The Tanto blade shape on this is actually one of the better Tanto blade shapes for EDC I've seen. In general, Tonto's more tactical, and this is a black class knife, by the way, which means it's their tactical. I guess a tactical EDC, because black class are generally their tactical knives, and this is more of an EDC style tactical knife. But the Tonto tip is great for penetrating. So when you're dealing with penetrating boxes and stuff, you can really get into penetrating boxes. And also, the blade itself cuts really well. Sorry, that's user error. As you can see, it's nice and thin here, and really slices very well. So you get that nice flat there, and you also get the nice pointy tip. So that is great. The next thing is the mini deep carry clip. This is one of the best clips Benchmade makes. I really like the regular deep carry on a lot of the knives, but on the Bugout and the Bailout, I really like the mini deep carry clip. I think it's perfect. This is the Parkerized version rather than the coated version, I believe. And the Parkerized version is actually my favorite version of the clip. So very happy to see that. The lanyard hole's out of the way on this, which is good, but I don't love the lanyard thing, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, this is just a really, it's not a complicated knife. It's a simple knife overall, simple design. One of the reasons, in case you're curious, why there's a screw in the middle is the liner actually extends to about here inside. You can probably see it, dusty in there. But you can see the liner probably, that it extends to about there. The pocket clip is reversible, and it is an axis lock, so it's good for both righties and lefties. And the ergonomics on here are great for I have size large gloved hands, and the Bugout feels a little small, like ever so slightly too small. But the Bailout feels perfect, actually. So, quite in love with that. Negatives on this, really the biggest negative is this back. A lot of people don't like it. This is pretty sharp right here. There are rounded glass breakers that you can have. You don't need it to be super sharp like this. Also, when you're putting this back in, this sort of wears on your hand a little bit when you're fidgeting with the knife, so just be aware of that as well. That's always a consideration. So really, the last thing is going to be the price. The price on this is good but not great, right? The original price on these, I think, were about $190, and those were that was a really, I think that was a very good value on this knife. Now that these are $234, I think they're pushing outside their value a little bit. They're back to the butterfly tax. They sort of got rid of the butterfly tax, as Nick Shabazz would say, for a while, when Spyderco kept increasing sort of at a faster rate than Benchmade was. But Benchmade is starting to catch up again in the price increases, and now you've got both a Spyder tax and a Benchmade tax or butterfly tax, and frankly, you're pushing ZT prices and everything else. You're starting to creep into Rayot territory. Some of the Rayots can get into a lower amount. So overall recommendations on it are look, I definitely recommend the knife. And hold on, I'm getting a low battery notification. Let's go ahead and take that off. That's the phone, obviously. Sorry guys, I'm in my trunk today. So overall recommendations are, I do recommend the knife, but I will say that the price is a little high now. As far as competitive options and just what's available, obviously this is an upgraded version. This is standard, and this is upgraded. This has titanium scales and some titanium hardware and a titanium backspacer. But just to show you guys the Benchmade Bugout here and the comparison to the Bailout, you're talking about the same stock thickness on the on there. You're talking about a similar height grind. You're talking about similar styling overall. The biggest difference is the guard here, which is here for for tactical purposes. I will say I never find myself putting my thumb behind the guard because it's really uncomfortable. I'll put it ahead of here, and so the guard's sort of unnecessary, at least for my purposes, on the top. I've never understood the top guards really. The bottom guards I get because you don't want your fingers sliding up on the blade, and frankly it feels fine. But I don't like the top guards. I really kind of wish they'd get rid of it. Again, I'm not a military guy, but I also, if I was in the military or police or whatever, I don't think I'd specifically carry the bailout. I'd probably carry something heavier duty. But if you do want a lighter duty and you want something semi-tactical, you know, it's not a bad option. So, you know, sort of final conclusions on this. I'd recommend it, but it's creeping up there in price, and it's got a lot of competition in that price range. So it wouldn't be the top knife I'd recommend in that price range. But if you like the look, you like the steel, you like the aluminum, it feels premium for what Benchmade does, and you know, I can definitely recommend it.